Welcome to Lawyers Who Care, the video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And on each episode, we will meet a new lawyer and they will share stories of when they went beyond legal counsel for the benefit of their client. My name is Andrew Samalin. I'm the principal of Samalin Wealth, a nationally recognized wealth management firm for lawyers, their firms, and their clients. And let's applaud lawyers who care and learn from them. And today is a very topical component today. Our guest is Jacqui Cooper. She is a partner at Cogent Law in Washington, D.C. And Jacqueline's expertise spans various blockchain platforms and applications, including cryptocurrencies. She is also the CEO of the Blockchain Legal Institute and Maryland Blockchain Association. Welcome, Jacqui.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
So, Jacqui, tell us how you came to the law, and then we'll dive into a little bit further.
Yeah, so I've been in the legal field for many, many years. I've been in this space, the blockchain space, for over 10 years. And I stepped into this space because I was introduced to a woman overseas in Scotland, and I was talking to her about what is known as altcoins and new technologies. And an altcoin is something that's different than a Bitcoin. So I learned about it then, and then I started to ask questions and interview people, and became fascinated with the underlying technology, which is blockchain.
And so that morphed you from, what did you practice prior to that 10 years ago?
I have been a non-traditional lawyer in many ways. My heart is as an entrepreneur, and I'm also an author. So I've always been a fringe on the law side from the perspective of my legal practice. I am with Cogent Law Group, and I am a partner with them. And now I'm doing blockchain law. But before that, I was really in the nonprofit side. I was doing a lot of other things, just following my heart and passion, and using the legal training as a tool for helping others, but maybe not direct legal practice, even though I have been at different law firms and agencies and things like that. But I really found I didn't like the billable hour type of situation. So I really wanted to figure out how can I focus on the project service and the overall reason why I stepped into the area of law.
And you had mentioned when we were chatting prior, we were talking about the nature of, given the fact that this could create generational wealth or not, it's not a securities recommendation, but rather what some of the pitfalls and risks might be with regard to the estate process. Can you chat about that a little bit?
Yeah. So so when someone, again, this is none of what we're going to be talking here is legal advice, investment advice, or anything else like that. But if you are looking at stepping into this innovative tech area, and if you're looking at investing in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or meme tokens or NFTs or any of the other digital assets, and now there's a lot of other ways to do that also with the areas that they call DePIN, which is decentralized physical infrastructure. There's a lot of companies that are going from Web 2 to Web 3. So if you're looking at doing any sort of investments in these areas, a lot of the products that you're buying are online or on chain, as it's called. And if you don't share with your family that you've actually invested in these tokens or companies, Bitcoin is not a company, but some of the other tokens that you might be investing in could be considered companies, then your families don't know. And so if you are not sharing this information because everyone says don't tell what your seed words are or your private keys are because someone might take it, well, that is true. But if your family doesn't know how to access your wallet, and there are many different types of wallets or online portals, then it's going to stay there and it's going to get lost. And if, like let's say someone bought Bitcoin 10 years ago and you take a look at the value of what it is now, then that is something that you invested in that could benefit you and or your family. And then the other concern that I have is not just not telling your family about it, but not having a will that directs how you want to have it be given, whether it's to your family, a charity, or whatever, because those are assets that you do own. And it doesn't matter the legal classification of it. These are assets that you own that you need to decide, okay, how do you want to give them at the end of your life, or even how do you want to access them if you're sick, if you're medically sick and you have an emergency and you need access to those funds. If they're of value and you need to convert them over from, let's say, Bitcoin to fiat so you can pay your hospital bill. So again, there's a lot of different questions, and a lot of times people don't think through. They just are in the moment of, okay, let's buy this. Let me, keep this information, and then they don't tell their family. So I have, I guess she's 28 now, a daughter and I wrote a book called the Essential Digital Asset Organizer for Attorneys and Their Clients. It's a workbook, and I did it for both of us because I realized she would not know where and how to go to my online portals, whether it's my Square account, my social media, or any of the other assets that I might have access to. She needs to know, so that way she doesn't shut down my GoDaddy account and think, oh, well, I'll just close the credit card, and because then that all my online businesses would stop, and then she wouldn't have any way to track and trace her financial estate. So these are conversations that are critical for people to have, and not make assumptions that their significant other or their siblings or their children don't need to know about it, because they do. So it's all part of if you're going to be playing in this world, you need to also think, okay, do you just want to leave it or do you want to gift it?
Right. And so let's look at this mechanically, and I don't want to get too much into the weeds, and thank you for that book. Maybe we can, share that link of where to take a look at that. But let's assume, for example, someone has an individual account at Coinbase. Again, it's not a recommendation of Coinbase. Clearly, it's just, they're a brokerage. They have an individual account, or they set up a TOD, transfer on death, and they name beneficiaries. With that naming of beneficiaries, generally information is taken by the firm to tell the beneficiaries that if, God forbid, they get contacted, you're a beneficiary, named beneficiary. How does that help folks? Or does it not? Is it a partial story?
I think it's partial. I think, like with everything else, if you have a close circle of either friends or family, you still need to have them understand how to access these portals. Because, again, having a company know who the information gets transferred to upon death is great. That's at least, legally saying, okay, this is the person that is going to be. But if that company doesn't contact the other person, or if they don't know that someone has passed, there's different pieces of the loop that get missed. So, you really have to close circle here, and you have to make sure that you have a honest conversation about how this information is shared. Maybe not all the information is shared. Like if there's a minor, they wouldn't need to know. But, again, you at least have to, and you might not want to have all the guardians know everything. You might have to have 2 or 3 people, especially if you think that it's sensitive information and you trust one person with one thing and another person with another. So it sort of is like in this digital asset world, we have what's called a multi-sig wallet, where 2 people have control. So that way you can make sure that all the information and the permissions are agreed on. Well, this might have to be, what you have to do even within your own family structure.
By the way, that's a webinar in and of itself.
Yes.
Um, maybe we could chat about just as an overview, given your familiarity and your association with, certain organizations that talk about blockchain and crypto. Can you give a quick primer as to what or how or why blockchain itself exists and how it's deployed? Maybe we could start there.
So blockchain's been around for over 30 years. A lot of the major companies like IBM and some of the others, they knew about it way back when. They just wasn't sure. They weren't sure how to integrate. And then, as the tech changed, as our computers changed, the chips got smaller, things got faster. It became, companies realized, okay, this is a very secure type of way to share information, like in supply chain. And it was transparent because you could see it. You might not know what the codes were, that it related to a certain client, but it was permanent. So that way it also meant it couldn't be tampered with. So that meant that it was sometimes more honest than just sending a PDF to a company that could then change it by making a copy of the document and then editing it. So this is a more permanent way to send from, I'm thinking about in the marine side and the shipping side, sending their documents from one port to another port. So that way they could say, okay, yes, we sent it to you on this ship. This is what you should have received. And that way there wasn't any graft, for products being taken or things like that. And now it's also used in, food chain and things like that. So I know I feel like I'm digressing, but, blockchain, was created. It was a technology development, and then it became a tool, and then it became more available to others who realized that they could build various products and services on it. So, it's like every other product and service. It's an evolution of the technology because of how creative we are in our community. And so it's now being integrated into a lot of our everyday, and we don't even always realize that it's an underlying tool.
And the commingling of blockchain with crypto helps digital assets from being stolen.
So I wouldn't use the word commingling. Blockchain is the tech that is the underlying technology that a cryptocurrency can be built on. But blockchain doesn't have to have cryptocurrency. It can have what we'll call a token for the purpose of utility for within the company, but that might not be cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is, again, Bitcoin is the original token that is truly decentralized. And so it is, it has its own white paper, which is like a business plan. It talks about what Bitcoin and the purpose is. It's peer-to-peer. When Bitcoin was created, it wasn't designed to have businesses build products or services on it. And so Bitcoin is a currency. It is a cryptocurrency. Now, Ethereum was designed to problem solve what Bitcoin couldn't do, which was to have products or services built. So as a result of Ethereum, so think of Ethereum like a mall, which has a lot of little stores on it. So when Ethereum was designed, it ended up allowing other builders to create other products, whether it's Polkadot or Polygon or Cardano or whatever, other blockchains. And those are tokens, which are also called cryptocurrency, but those are alt tokens, altcoins, because it's other than Bitcoin. And so with the altcoins, that you have two different ways that you can purchase them. If you decide that you want to purchase them, you have decentralized exchanges and centralized exchanges. Centralized exchanges are examples like Coinbase. So depending upon how you might want to purchase that token, then you go to an exchange and you would then purchase it with fiat. So that would mean that you would have to add your bank account with the dollars or euros or whatever it is that you're buying it with over to the centralized exchange, or, depending upon the decentralized exchange, whatever method they allow you to go ahead and purchase. So, Bitcoin is really a standalone. It is a cryptocurrency. I know that we had a conversation prior a little bit about that, but Bitcoin is different than Ethereum. It's different than the other altcoins because, again, Bitcoin's not owned by any company. It's really individuals that own the Bitcoins, and it's mined by various machines. So, I mean, I know I'm giving a lot of information. It's all about vocabulary development, which is actually why I created the Blockchain Legal Institute. The Institute is not a law firm. It's a centralized library of decentralized resources. So you could go on and understand more about the tech and the vocabulary, still see what are the compliance or the regulations that are out there that might be impacting you. And that's changing daily. But, again, it's all about vocabulary building.
By the way, you've been so helpful to those that are watching this. I'm wondering, and we could talk about this separately, maybe have a separate series of webinars that you could chat about. But just so everyone knows, my guest, Jacqui Cooper, a partner at Cogent Law, and her digital expertise is incredibly helpful. Jacqueline, so that people can get in touch with you, can you share your contact information in any, whether it's social or what have you?
Yeah, sure. So definitely the other entity that I've started is the Maryland Blockchain Association. So if you live in Maryland or do business in Maryland, definitely, reach out to the Maryland Blockchain Association. But, again, you can reach me through the Blockchain Legal Institute. And as you mentioned, I am a partner at Cogent Law Group. But, for Blockchain Legal Institute, BLI.tools is the website. And there is a contact us page there. You can also email at hello@bli.tools, and that will also get to me as well.
Well, thank you. This has been the Lawyers Who Care video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And blazing trails is something that obviously Jacqueline is in the midst of doing as this evolves, on a daily basis. If you're an attorney or know one who goes above and beyond, feel free to reach out to us, 914-666-6600, 914-666-6600. Jacqueline, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.